I'm gonna apologize. I think that there's an echo, but my mic is not working right now, so just bear with me. Hi guys, welcome back to Read with Melanin. We are in a very happy space because we have officially entered into the Bookish Epilogue, where we recap everything books and restart everything for next year. Today we are here to do another reading recap of the books that I have read while I've been away, because we all know I read, but apparently I keep forgetting to come sit down and talk to y'all. So let's get started. So in no particular order, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I read 8 books. Was it 8? I feel like there was another one. There might be an extra book. We're gonna check. So this year, I can definitely say I read a lot more contemporary and a lot more romance, because honestly, still looking for Black contemporary books that don't always just focus on anguish and despair. So if you got any recommendations, let me know. I read Wishful Thinking by Celestine Martin. And this book premise is that there's a girl who is a witch from a town. Her best friend and obviously crush from high school moves back into town, and he is a merman, which was very interesting. So it was like a quaint little town. It gave me Halloween Town vibes from like all the different types of people that live there and stuff. But also there was like the romantic aspect of it. But the part that really like stuck out to me was the main character. She kind of felt like her life was boring, and she kind of felt like, you know, she needed to take a chance. And so her and her sisters and her favorite cousin, who's basically a sister, basically end up making a wish where like they all make their own specific wish. And throughout the entire book, the wish is kind of like forming. And, you know, apparently wishes are very powerful in this particular world. And it's like basically forcing them to like go for what they want and things of that nature. I personally really like that part in my mind, because if I'm gonna be real, I have not been in love with my life. It has been one of those things where I've just been very frustrated, and it's one of those things where you're like, is this a sign for me to also like make a wish and go for it? I know it's obviously not gonna have any magic attached to it the way that the book did, but it just makes you wonder. Also, I'm so mad at the sky right now because the sky is getting darker as I speak, and it is messing up everything. So hold on. I am so sorry about the glare. I'm trying to use natural light, but I guess today is like a rainy day, so who knows what's gonna happen outside. So the next book on the list is Murder in Mamon by Mia P. Manansala. This is the 4th book in the Tita Rosie's Kitchen Cozy Mystery series. I've obviously talked about this series a lot, so y'all should have known that I was more than happy and ready to read this book as soon as it came out. And this book, just like the other 3, did not disappoint. This one, the premise of the story is one of her aunts, one of the godmother's daughter or niece comes to live with them, and the niece is murdered. And so you have to find out what happened, including the fact that her ninans have opened up a laundromat, and that's where the murder takes place. So yet again, her family is in the midst of the drama, and they're trying to figure out what happened, why did she die, and all these things. So of course, there's the unraveling. I guessed correctly the murderer this time. And when I tell you, I was so lit. Okay, I will say that I did not predict how, but I knew who killed her. And I feel like you'll be able to tell really well. I've gotten used to the author's writing style, so it was, I don't know, I was really happy with myself. But I really love that book, and I highly suggest if you want like a cozy mystery series, because like I said before, I think I said this in another reading recap, I like books centered around food. So mysteries, romances, contemporaries, all of those that are involving food, love them, want more of them on a regular basis. So if you're like me, trust me, you will enjoy that series. I read Blood Debts by Terry J. Benton Walker, and the cover gave, like, I'm not gonna lie, the original reason that I bought this book is because I was really feeling the cover. And then I later learned that not only is this a sibling book, but it's a sibling magical book. So basically the premise of this story is that this family, the twins, so the twins, what are their names? It's been a minute. Clement and Christina Trudeau end up having to figure out what happened to their grandmother, because there's this big scandal in New Orleans that their grandmother killed the mayor's daughter, and that ended up causing this egregious chaos where they came to their house, murdered their grandmother and grandfather, but the grandmother apparently killed all these people because, I mean, let's be real, they were gonna go lynch them, so grandma got them first. But this stripped grandma and her family of their power within the community and kind of made it seem like their family was a little bit of an outcast. And Clement and Christina both go through different trials in this book that I feel like were not very well fleshed out. Christina is supposed to be this super talented, what do they call her? Super talented practitioner of generational magic. And after her father is killed, she blames herself for it and starts basically like just harboring everything inside of her. Whereas her brother, Clement, is trying to be better at generational magic. So it's like the death of their father caused them both to kind of go in two separate directions. And in terms of Christina's story, I felt like Christina's story had a little bit more cohesiveness to it, whereas Clement's story went 0 to 1,000 and then left us hanging in the bushes. And so I do know that the second book is coming out. I think the second book is called Blood Justice. I think that's the second book. I'm very interested, but also not interested, because there were times in this book that I kind of felt like the story was lagging. I kind of felt like there was a lot of filler stuff happening with the family, but then there was also not enough explanation. There were a lot of moments where I guess you were left to assume things, and because I don't quite understand the magic structure of the book yet, it's like some of the stuff I still don't understand. I know that there's like necromancy. I know that the black people do generational dark or generational magic that is controlled by the moon, and then the white people do light magic that is controlled by the sun. That alone made it really like side-eye, like bombastic side-eye. But again, the premise of this book is them trying to figure out what is the true story that happened to their grandmother and who is trying to come for their family now. So again, this book is also told in third person. There is a third person in this story that is Christina's ex-best friend and the granddaughter of the current like queen of the generational magic people. So again, you get different vibes. Like even when you read the desk jacket, they don't mention the third voice in this book. So that's very interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I think I am still going to read the second book, but I'm actually thinking that this might go in my unhaul vibes or my unhaul stack, and that's only because I don't feel like this is a book that I'm gonna go back to anytime soon, and I don't think it's a book that I'm gonna be like, oh my god, you have to read it. I thought it was a cute read. I just don't feel like it has repeatability for me on my bookshelf. So obviously, like I said, life's been lifing for me, so I read some fluff. And so I read Conceal Don't Feel by Jen Colanita. This is in the What If series for Disney, where basically what if Anna and Elsa did not know each other? And so at first, when you hear that particular line, you're like, why don't Anna and Elsa know each other? Elsa is still a princess in the kingdom of, what are they? I forgot the name of their kingdom. I know it starts with an A. But Elsa is the daughter of a baker. Or no, I'm sorry. Anna is the daughter of a baker. And so this particular story it plays in the same realm as Frozen, obviously, but the major twist is that Anna and Elsa do not know that each other exists. And they don't know that each other exists in the way that they are to each other. So I actually liked that. I don't know how to put this, but I thought you know the part of Frozen in the beginning where Elsa accidentally strikes Anna and then they rush off to the trolls, and then their response to the troll being like, she must learn how to control her powers, is to completely segregate her from Anna and like create this idea that like Elsa hates Anna and that Elsa must conceal her powers. I always thought that was kind of like, it was one of those moments where I'm like, hello? Did y'all not listen to what the troll said? So this was one of those interesting moments for me where I was like, I don't know, but I think that the what if version of the story would have actually been a little bit better than the original version of the story, and I wonder if it was ever considered, and that's why it ended up being this book. That is a thought that I have. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, I enjoy all of them. One of these days, I'm gonna rank all of the ones that I've read so far. I did get the anthology, by the way, but I only read the first story, which was What If Snow White Learned Magic, and I did not like that short story at all. But when I finally finish the whole anthology, I will go through each story, and then we will do like a big roundup of all the what if stories and see how I rank them. Yeah. Speaking of what if stories, the next one I read was So This Is Love by Elizabeth Lim. You guys know that I actually have a partiality to Elizabeth Lim, and the premise of this story is, oh, what if Cinderella never tried on the glass slipper? So the premise of this story is, you know how at the end of Cinderella where the Grand Duke comes to the house and, you know, they end up Cinderella ends up getting out of the locked room and like comes and tries on the slipper. Well, in this premise, she never got out. The Duke never heard her. Her animal friends never could not help her open up the door. And not only that, but their stepmother realized that she was the princess and ransacked her room and actually found the other glass slipper. And instead of leaving the glass slipper for her evil stepmother to figure out a way to swindle the prince, she breaks it. So that's how the story starts. So I love the stories where the ending is changed in a way where it's like, interesting. I like this story. Obviously, it's the fluff parts. There's the love and all that other stuff. That part is fine. But I actually enjoyed the extra characters that were introduced into this story. For example, the king has a sister. The Grand Duke actually has like a whole personality. And it's funny because I went back and watched the Disney version, the animated version of Cinderella, and I'm like, I could totally see the Grand Duke acting like the way that he acted in the book based off the way his mannerisms were in the movie. So I really like that little connection, and I enjoyed this book a lot. So like I said, the What If series is one of my favorite series, though that one and the Wayward Children series by Sina McGuire. Those two series are the books that I always go to when I just want to like where I want to kind of just enjoy a quick read. They're always quick reads for me, so yeah. The next two books are actual Black romance books by two authors that I've never read. So the first one was Fake It Till You Bake It by Jamie Wesley. And like I said, I started looking for more cooking related romance, contemporary, and mystery books, and this particular author came up. I also think they have another book coming out next year. Hold on. Yeah. They have another cooking one coming up, and I'm guessing it's based on one of the other guys. So the premise is these three football players go into a business venture together where they own a bakery. And apparently they all bake, and they're all football players, and they're all fine. Which, if we know of any of those men that exist in real life, please send them my way, because a man that cooks, But yes, so the first guy, the first player, meets this girl who's this bougie, stuck-up princess who basically got cut off by her parents because, in true fashion, she has no real direction for her life or anything like that. but it turns out that her grandmother owns the football team that these players are a part of. And the grandmother ends up getting her a job at the bakery where she has to prove herself and prove that she's able to bring income in order to get access to her trust fund. There's a bunch of other aspects of this book that happen to it, but I do recommend that you read the story. I thought it was cute. I love the fact that the woman of this story is in fact a spoiled brat. She's very confident, but also not confident. She is assertive, and she's very sure of herself. And I really love that at no point in this book that it was written to where she was supposed to be humbled or she was supposed to be demeaned in any kind of way, that those certain qualities were looked at by her love interest as something that was good for once. Instead of being told to be meek and all this other stuff, like, it was like happy that she was like, you know, just this assertive, happy person. And then also I love that the male character was one of those like, by the books, I have a plan for my life, this is gonna happen X, Y, and Z kind of guy. Just because normally from what I've been reading so far, a lot of the times it's the girl that's like that and not the guy. Or when they do it, it'll be like the girl's this quirky, fun girl who just breaks him out of his shell. That kind of thing. And sometimes that makes me roll my eyes because we always gotta save a man. But again, I felt like this book gave me the little happy joy moments that I wanted, but also it gave me a little drama. So it was like, if I was watching this, this is one that I think would make a really, really cute rom-com to watch on TV. Again, I am dying for some black rom-coms in my life, and I just don't know who we need to call. I don't want to call Shonda because I know she's gonna make all the love interests interracial to make a larger audience. I don't care about reaching a larger audience. I want the audience to be me, and I want these books turned into rom-coms. So after I watch Princess Diaries, I could pop some popcorn and watch these people fall in love over and over. Sorry for the rant. But speaking of another book that should be a rom-com, it is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. So I kept seeing this book. I think I saw it the most on Instagram and on the black side of Book Talk where they have Common Sense. I saw this book pop up. So it is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. And the premise of this book is that this girl ends up being neighbors with the guy who turns out to be her favorite fantasy author, and she doesn't know it because a year before that, she had been enjoying talking to who she thought was her favorite author, and he disappeared on her. I would love it. I think it is so cute. How cool would it be to turn out that your crush is Author Bay as well? I don't know. I know in real life that probably would not pan out really well, but the way that it's written in this book is absolutely adorable. Plus, this book did one of my favorite things, and it showed the relationship between black sisters, because personally, it's just wild to me that sometimes I read these books where they have siblings and like they don't talk to their siblings at all. And like anywhere in the book, there's no group chats, there's no nothing. And that always confuses me because all the siblings I know, or all the friends that I know that have siblings, there's a group chat. And that group chat is full of people talking crap with each other. It's always like something wild and something crazy. So it's always crazy to me that there is no group chat in these books. So after all this time, after reading A Blade So Black, A Dream So Dark, we finally got A Crown So Cursed by L.L. McKinney. So I, being the person that I am, decided to start back at book 1 and read all 3 of the books in succession so that I could give you guys a full opinion on how I felt about the series. And you know the only consistent thing that I got throughout this whole series? And this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to have a spoiler conversation about this book, I'm just gonna say this is the last book on the list, so you guys, you know, you might just wanna speed through the end of it because I'm gonna talk about this. The ick that I have from the relationship between Alice and Hatter in this book actually intensified by a bajillion by the time I got to A Crown So Cursed. The reason is there is a massive age gap between these characters. I don't care that he's from another world. He's like 100 years older than Alice. Alice is in fact just a teenage girl. He, by those standards, is like a grown man. And so not only is there like a pedophilic feeling relationship between Alice and the Hatter, it's also very clear that there was a power dynamic somewhere in there that just did not make sense. And it was like the book tried to make it as if her and Hatter were on the same level, especially by the third book, and they're not. They'll never will be, in fact, because Hatter is old enough to know Alice's grandmother at a young age, because that's how old he is. I don't care how hot he is. I don't care that he cosplayed with her and looks good in a certain outfit. I don't care. That is a grown man and a child. It's disgusting to me. I did not like that part at all, and I just need to reiterate that again, that I did not like that at all. However, I thought that it was a good closure of the book. I think that when I talked about A Dream So Dark, I said I wasn't sure the direction that the last book was gonna go to, because I knew that there was a last book. It just felt like everything had closure at the end of the second book. And I still stand by that, because I still feel like we did not need a third book. Unless you wanted some answers about the Black Queen from the second book, then the third book was needed. And then also, try not to give too many spoilers, the connection between Alice's family and Wonderland was already pretty apparent in book 2, but it was obviously super solidified in book 3. And I still love Alice's relationship with her family. I love the relationship between Alice and her friend, her homegirl. But Chess, the way that Chess was put into this story, I mean, one, he was like a wasted third love triangle person, and then warrior, and then friend with troubling ooze. There were a lot of moments where I recognized tropes from like different animes, or I recognized some of the same ideas from like certain shows. You can definitely tell Ella McKinney is a nerd, because I picked up on some major hints about the way that the story was combined together. Actually, I still don't know how I feel about this series. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I still do not know how I feel about this series. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna say, I think I'm giving the entire series as a whole a 3 out of 5. There were some good points. I love the fighting scenes. The fighting scenes are very well done in these books. There were a lot of open, leftover things in this book that took such big parts in the first 2 books that were just like kind of brushed over in the last one. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I'm glad that it's a finished series. Not only that, I'm glad that the series stayed very consistent. So they look really good on my shelf next to each other. So yeah. But I've been talking for a little bit too long. So thank you guys so much for checking out a Bookish epilogue today. Stay tuned for another video sometime soon. And until the next time, guys, happy holidays.